told you there was only always just 3 reasons why people aren't signing up. This goes for all products. This is all services. That's what we teach here at Sales is Easy, is universal knowledge for all sales. But before we get started, my name's Devon Gall. I'm your friend and mentor in business, sales, and marketing. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I have 15 years of business, sales, and territory building experience. I've helped multiple individuals go from earning minimum wage to over 6 figures. Maybe you have some blind spots. We all have some blind spots. Maybe I can help you identify some of them. Check out the store below. But if that doesn't interest you, enjoy the free content. That's what it's all about here at YouTube. So let's get right on into it. This is called the only 3 reasons they aren't buying. All right. First thing you got to understand is they're not in the market. This is not someone you want to sell to. Let's say you're selling driveways. You're selling driveway paving. They don't even own a driveway. Why are we talking to this person, right? Well, because you're really likable and you're a great rapport builder, and they're likable and you're talking and you click and you connect, and now what you're doing is you're wasting time. You're wasting money making time. All right, this is a fatal flaw that a lot of new people fall into when they're doing sales. Even seasoned people can do this. You don't want to spend too much time. I'm not saying be rude. I'm not saying cut them off. I'm not saying be a you know what about it. But you have to take control of the situation, and you can't spend time with somebody that's disqualified. You also have to identify if people are actually, just tire kicking, or if they're actually interested. So the 2 ways we deal with the not in the market is you got to learn how to disqualify repeatedly. So learn to disqualify them repeatedly. I like to do this early and often, not throughout the entire presentation, but what I'm trying to identify is if are they actually somebody that could buy. Maybe they're not ready to buy yet, but there's somebody that is able to buy. There is an option, because again, we don't want to spend time with people that they're not in the market. And then the other thing you want to do to identify when you're doing not in the market here is the art of the breakup. So you leave them on a good note. But you got to break up very quickly. You can't spend time building rapport with somebody that's not going to actually sign anything, or can't actually sign anything is the better way to say that. Because again, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know for sure. If there's a possibility, move forward. But if they're not in the market, if they're not your target, don't spend time with them. Next. Now there's going to be some overlap between these two, but they don't trust the product or they don't trust the service. So how do we get over that? Well, ask questions. There might be 2 or 3 common reasons why people don't trust your specific product or service. They might not even be thinking about any of that. So don't introduce negatives. Don't introduce common reasons why people aren't interested or aren't trusting of your product or service, or the industry that you're working in, or the sector you're working in. Ask questions. Find out what's holding them back. Just ask them straight up, why haven't you switched over yet? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you done it yet? So ask questions. And then you want to build credibility. There's a couple ways to do this. One is use partnerships you may have. A lot of companies work with other companies, maybe companies with bigger names, and you can use some of those bigger names to create credibility for your name. Use testimonials. Talk about other people that have already benefited from going and doing it and checking and taking advantage of your product or service. Use numbers of people who got it already. Maybe your office did 250 sales last month. You tell the person, hey, there's 250 people in this area that already just signed up just this month. You build the credibility for the product or service. Identify their issues or concerns by asking questions. And sometimes things like technology has evolved or other factors are involved here that have, the technology has changed, because you'll notice a lot of people have preconceived notions that they developed a very long time ago. And things change, the times they are changing, the technology is changing. So you can talk about technical advances if that applies to your product or service. There's a couple other ways to build product or service trust, but these are the main ones to get out of the way. So now, building your product or service trust, that's how you got that. That's taken care of. Usually it's only one or two preconceived notions the person has about it, and it's pretty easy to overturn. It's really not that big of a deal. Unless you make it a big a deal, right? And then the ultimate one here is what it really comes down to is they don't trust you. And why don't they trust you? All right. Are you the expert? Do you know what you're talking about? Are you excited about what you're talking about? Are you enthusiastic about it? How's your body language? What's your image like? There's a million reasons why they might not trust you. So these are some of the things you can do to build your own trust or build the trust in the customer, because ultimately what you're doing when you're making a sale, right, is transferring certainty that I am certain this is a good product or service for you, and I am certain this outcome will benefit you, and you'll live a happier life. You'll live a more blissful life once you buy this. That's the certainty you're transferring in a sale. So you have to create certainty. Certainty equals trust. Right? So how do we build certainty? Eye contact. Making eye contact. Maintaining eye contact. Body language. Personal image. Even before you get to wherever you're going, what is your personal image? Because your image is being prejudged. You don't prejudge people because you're a great salesperson. You talk to everybody, right? But everyone else is prejudging you. So what is your image conveying? What's your hygiene conveying to them? What do you look like? Are you scraggly? Are you all over the place? Are you not buttoned up? Do you not look the part? You see these people just walk around the mall sometimes. Some of these people are selling. They're just sitting there, and images like what they're doing, they're just sitting there on their phone like this. Is this somebody you're going to trust? Probably not. Other ways to build trust. Build rapport. What's that mean? It means make a friend. Make a friend. You got to make a friend before you make a sale, right? So building rapport is really important, because it's really easy to turn down a salesperson, but it's not so easy to turn down Mike. It's not so easy to turn down Sally, right? They get to know you a little bit. You're a great storyteller. You've had some laughs together. You've had some smiles together. You had a little bit of a good time. You're a great rapport builder. You're likable, right? Make a friend before you make a sale by building rapport. Empathizing. Empathy. What's that mean? It means I completely understand how you feel, even when they're dead wrong. Even when we're up here and they don't trust the product or service, you empathize with their concern, even if they're dead wrong. That's okay. You have to empathize with, oh yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. A lot of other people I've talked to, they felt that same thing. That creates trust in you. If you just say, well, actually, sir, that's not true because the technology does this now. That they're gonna be like, okay, thanks for the information. Do you have a card? Do you have a pamphlet? I'll call you on the website or something, right? So, which means they're not signed up. I don't know if you've heard that before, but you have to empathize with them because this lets them feel they've been heard, right? And communication is key here when you're building trust. Understanding the needs, the hot spots. These are some of the things you're identifying maybe when you're asking questions up here, but you have to figure out what matters to them. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So you have to understand what they care about. Until you understand what they care about, you can't help them. You can't bring them from their current product or service, which is making them not happy or miserable or whatever, or neutral, and bring them to the shining city on the hill of your product or service where everything is great and the roads are paved with gold and life is so amazing now because I got the new this, right? How do you bring them there if you don't understand what matters to them? Silence after questions / closing. So when you ask a question, you tilt your head, you listen, right? It's part of figuring out what matters to them, figuring out building a friend. When you close the deal, use total silence, and then let them think, let them have their thoughts. Because you've done this thousands, hundreds of thousands of times, so you know the answer. This question you ask every single person, you already know the answer. It does not. It's going to bomb your deal if you ask them the question and then tell them the answer. You have to let them come to their own conclusions. And 99% of the time, they'll just tell you the same answer that you've heard every single time. But don't try to front load it and don't try to rush it. Use silence and then listen. Tilt your head a little bit. Be an expert. That's some overlap with up here with the product or service. But no one's going to trust somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. No one's going to trust anyone that says, I don't know. Now, it's okay to say, I don't know, if you follow it up with, let me find out. And then you text the big guy in the office. You text your sales manager. You text the top performer in your office. You find out the answer to this question. Hey, what's this about? How do we do? Customer wants to know about this, blah, 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 right? So you can build trust in yourself with a couple basic things. This is the 3 reasons why people are not buying from you. You have to eliminate the people that aren't going to buy or can't buy from you. You have to overcome the product or trust issue or product or service trust issues they may have. But ultimately, because this one's really not that hard to do, it all comes down to you and the certainty that you're building. So when people aren't buying and they're not getting your product or service, you got to do some reflection. You got to do some self-reflection and say, what can I do better? Not what did I do wrong, but what can I do better? How can I improve? All right, that's it for Sales is Easy. Appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.